So gathering CRM requirements can feel like herding cats sometimes. It's chaotic, it's messy, but it's absolutely crucial that you get that right up front, especially what we're finding now with the bigger, more complicated implementations. There's a really, really big group of stakeholders that need to be involved. They could be sales, they could be marketing, they could be service, there's finance, because HubSpot's now touching so many parts of the business that if you don't really understand what they want, then you risk building a system that doesn't meet the business needs. So getting that collaboration up front with all the right people is really, really important. However, that can be challenging, right? Because if we ask 20 people what they want, you end up with a list of requirements that's like 200, and all of a sudden it becomes unmanageable, and the scope of the project blows out of all proportion. A recent example of that, big implementation, working with the sales team and the service team. And the sales team wanted a really simplified sales process in HubSpot. The service team wanted something more complicated because they wanted to look at the post-sales as well as the lead up to that. And their priorities conflicted. So we worked with them. We built out a methodology to capture the requirements, and then we used the Moscow system to prioritize must have, should have, could have, etc. And what that enabled us to do is just make sure we didn't overcomplicate the system. So it provided clarity, and we're able to prioritize what needs to be done well in the implementation. So I guess thinking about what we learned from that is it's about making sure you have a process around requirement gathering, and making sure you consult and listen to the right people. But at the end of the day, make sure that you have the ear of the decision makers and that you set clear and realistic implementation goals. One of the questions I must get asked most frequently is, how long is the CRM implementation going to take? And of course, the answer is, it depends. And the reason for that is that the timelines are based on so many different factors that are unique to every single customer. So things like, what is the state of their data? What's the data quality like? How much customization is required? Are there integrations and a lot of migration that needs to be done? And also, how big is the team? So, are there lots of people that need to be onboarded? And so if I was to give broad indications, the smaller implementations can be done in weeks, so 8 to 12 weeks. But the bigger, complex, multi-hub setup, so we're looking at HubSpot service, sales, marketing, they can take months. I mean, we've done projects that have taken 12 months. But the key is to prioritize the things that bring value and get those in place. And we speak a lot about the agile methodology, and that's what that really enables us to do. So I'm trying to think of a recent project where obviously clients made the commitment to HubSpot and a big rollout, and they want everything done in 3 weeks. It's just not going to happen because their data quality was so poor. They had let that slide over a number of years. And so really to get that in place was going to take a while. However, what we're able to do is start to get some progress going on the marketing side of things. So we're able to get landing pages built, email automations built, all that sort of stuff. So they can actually start running campaigns, even though there's some other work needed in the background. So campaigns with data that was clean and usable. So really, how long does it take? It depends on the requirements. It depends on the complexity. But at Boom, we're really focused on making sure things happen quickly and we roll out the program, getting results as soon as we can. So let's talk about when CRM projects don't go to plan. And unfortunately that happens, and it's frustrating for the client, it's frustrating for us. But let's look at why that might happen. So I think some of these failures typically come down to trying to rush the implementation. And that can be things like skipping the planning stage, not scoping things out properly, not consulting the right people. And that last point, actually, we see a lot where the sort of senior leadership have a very clear view of what they want the CRM to do, but they're not really spending enough time talking to people who are going to use it. And when that happens, and when the CRM project overruns, doesn't do what you want it to do, it becomes a kind of expensive headache instead of the asset that it should be to the business. And if I go back to that bit about, the people side of it, really, I suppose, the big issue is underestimating the time and the support that people need to adopt a new CRM. So even when we sorted out the tech and we've done all the processes, it's all great. We've got to make sure we're training the end users. We've got to make sure that we're holding their hand so they use it in the way that we all want them to. And we call that adoption. And if adoption stays low, ROI is lower as well. And if I think about a recent project with one of our clients, the system was set up, off we go. Just wasn't enough emphasis put on the people. So we came back to them. We did some personalized training. We did different workshops that were tailored to what those, in whether it's sales teams, like how they're going to use HubSpot. Basic things, making sure they knew how to connect their email, making sure they knew how to use the mobile app, understanding how they could find their way around the CRM. So really, really tailored to what they need. And as a result of that, they started to use it more, they loved it more, adoption went up and ROI followed. So I would say that, preventing CRMs going over budget, etc. Don't cut corners, invest in planning, focus on the end users, and crucially, commit to continuous improvement. And that's how you'll get a long-term win. How do you measure the success of a CRM implementation? Because they're quite big projects. And what I encourage clients to do is say, okay, ROI is important, but let's break that down into 3 other really important metrics that you should focus on. And the first one is time to value. And this measures how quickly you actually start seeing tangible benefits from an implementation with HubSpot. So for our customers, we're aiming for weeks, not months in that respect. And that could be a certain team using it, or it could be a certain use case going live, whilst all the rest of it is still in flight in terms of being implemented. I think the second one is adoption rates, because a successful CRM is one that the team actually uses, believe it or not. So if we're tracking towards 70% or higher adoption rates, then I would say we're on track. And if we're not, then low adoption usually signals that we need more training, we need more adjustments to the program to make sure we lift that. And then the final one is what we call activation rates. So activation rates relates to the percentage of the features that you bought that you're using. So you've got automations. Are you using automations? We have custom reports. Are you using those? You have a whole marketplace of integrations that your business is using. Are we connecting into those or not? And that's really, really important, because it's showing, are we making use of that investment that we've made or not? So I think focusing on time to value, adoption rates, activation rates, that's going to give you a clear picture of whether that CRM project is delivering the value that you really need.